Hello and welcome to the Ring of WNBA show. I'm Seerat Sohi. I am joined by Tyler DeLuca of No Cap Space, who I am normally a lot more chipper when I get to talk to Tyler, but
a day of mourning.
It's a day of mourning. What was an incredible day of women's basketball ended with just the worst news imaginable. JuJu Watkins goes down in the first quarter of USC's second round game, and we find out hours later that she indeed has a torn ACL. And you know, this is one of those things where when it goes down, you don't necessarily want to speculate, but with the way that it happened, if you're a sports fan, you've seen this movie play out a number of times. It felt like it just confirmed everybody's biggest fears and the Galen Center's biggest fears, a crowd that was very emotional throughout the course of the night. That really struck me. I was
surprised.
Yeah, I mean...
Not surprised at being emotional, but the way it was... Because the booing and everything, I was kind of taken aback by...
No, yeah. The play was... It was a play that JuJu's been making throughout her entire career. It's a play that makes her incredible and one of the most exciting players to watch. It was her trying to split two defenders in transition, cradling the ball like a football player, and then all of a sudden she just crumples to the floor. I'm going to have some grace for USC fans. I think that the player who actually committed the foul, I think afterwards, basically just said, look, that's a fan base that has JuJu's back, and I respect that. I think that there were just a lot of emotions, and those emotions needed a vessel. Because at first, the ire turned to the referees. And I think the biggest thing that stood out to me about that was just how much JuJu means to the city of Los Angeles, to USC. I think that this is just a fan base, and what was going to be her... already was going to be her last game at the Galen Center this season. Just wanted to one last time, send her off, send the team off to make some sort of, they were hoping, a historical run to the Final Four and potentially to the title and a potential Elite Eight game against UConn. I think that there was just a lot of excitement. And then to see her go down, as an LA local, somebody who, decided that she wanted to plant her roots in California and build this program. And they just have so much love for her. I just don't think that it can be overstated what she means to USC. I think Lindsay Gottlieb kind of talked about that after the game too. She was like, there's no way that you can't connect the anger of the fan base to everything that she's, done for the community. And I think that's kind of what was happening. It was sort of a messy processing of anxiety and grief and anger and just disbelief all at the same time. And it seems like it didn't get too out of hand. It was just one of those moments, every once in a while you get these moments where, a fan base collectively just has an emotional reaction to something. Like we just saw Cal go back to Kentucky, and that's more of a premeditated one. But these things happen, and they tell you a lot about the relationship that a fan has to a player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Again, I think that's the biggest thing is they were actively processing and also in disbelief. I know I was on live for one of the No Cap Space post game shows when it happened, and I'm just sitting there just shocked to then go back into a March Madness game. This isn't just some regular season game either. The stakes are literally at their highest right now, and so credit to the USC team for being able just to finish that out, and Kiki Iriafen, who obviously, this is not a good thing that this has happened to JuJu, but Kiki Iriafen is one of the ones. And so when in that sense, for her to take the lead in that way was not surprising to me in that way, but also still impressive from USC because, I mean, look, I can't imagine. Again, I struggle to continue talking about basketball after watching that happen. I can't imagine being the one having to play it after that happens. So credit to them, but. I mean, just damn, it just sucks all around. There's no trying to spin it or no. There's no other way around. This sucks. All the way across the board.
I will say for Kiki, 36 points is a season high for her at USC, and I think it was just a special moment for her. Maybe a silver lining to the tragedy of the night, because I feel like the one thing about that performance. Was how that will stand out to me forever, that I'll always remember, is the way in which it showed you who Kiki is in that locker room off the court as much as it shows you what she's capable of doing on the court. In what has been a difficult season for her as far as adjusting to playing alongside all this star power, and playing in this big front court where she doesn't necessarily have as much space or as many touches as she was accustomed to at Stanford. And I really felt like the last 3-4 weeks of the season, she started to really figure it out. Her playmaking has improved. But beyond that, I think about on senior night, Lindsay Gottlieb, the USC, like the whole team, like they did a really good job with senior night, and they played this video of Kiki singing it was that famous Lauryn Hill song. I forget which one it was. In Paris at a restaurant, and I don't think it was a karaoke restaurant.
I know. I think it was on socials when it happened.
Oh yeah,
I think someone posted.
Yeah,
it got I don't remember if it was the team
socials.
or a player or what, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But Kiki is kind of like the energy of that team. She is like the extroverted heartbeat that makes just kind of rises, allows everybody else to rise. It's just one of those people. If you're in a bad mood, Kiki is gonna be able to help you. And I think that she really did that for the Galen Center in general, just with her energy. She was hitting the floor, she was smiling, you could tell that there was a gratitude to play basketball. And I think that kind of emanated throughout the team itself, which makes sense as well. When you think about watching one of your teammates go down, I think that that's a pretty natural emotional response. Yeah. And also just the way that when Rhea Marshall started to get into it with another player, Kiki not only takes her to the side, but then just starts the dancing, trying to get her to cheer up. We got to see a different, fans got to see a different side of Kiki, and I'm glad that she kind of got to have this moment, her last game at the Galen Center in this year that I think has just been difficult but very instrumental for her.
Yeah, I mean, we as a No Cap Space, we've interviewed her twice now. We interviewed her last year at Stanford. We interviewed her over the summer after she announced her transfer to USC. And when I tell you that Kiki is easily near the top of my list of just favorite people I've gotten to talk to while covering this game, her personality is infectious. That's somebody that I will hoop next to any day of the week just because of one, she just seems like she makes it so fun. And again, to your point, I genuinely feel I don't know how that game goes if you don't have a personality like Kiki leading the way for you. When you're trying to bounce back from that. And again, just the joy that she plays with. And I feel at times we haven't been able to see that as much this season. And just from an individual perspective, with Kiki, it feels like there's been, I don't want to say trying too hard. I don't think that's exactly the case, but it hasn't been the smoothest kind of transition I think that a lot of people anticipated that it might be. It's been harder to get rolling in this way. But Kiki's at her best. One, I think kind of twofold here. One, when she's playing free like that. So if that's the energy she's bringing the rest of the way, from an individual perspective on her performances, I'm very excited to see that. But also, she steps up. Even at Stanford, when Cameron Brink would be in foul trouble, it was Kiki that was consistently stepping up. We saw it last year in March Madness in that Iowa State game. she dropped, I think it was 30 plus points in that game as well. This isn't new to Kiki, and so I understand obviously is USC a better team with JuJu Watkins? Obviously, there's no argument to be made there. But I'm not just completely writing this USC team out by any means. So I'm interested in, and I don't think that they're writing themselves out either. That's not at all the energy that was given last night. So obviously they're better with JuJu on the floor, no doubt. But I'm still very excited to see again what has been a bit of a struggle at times this season for Kiki, how that comes out over however many games are left in this USC run in March Madness. I'm excited to see that. Yeah,
they got K-State coming up, and Ayoka Lee is going to be definitely a test for them in the post. And I think it's one of those things where I am, as much as I do want to look ahead to USC, it is everything that you said just made me sadder that.
No, literally, as I was saying, I was like, damn, I just kept deflating.
It really is. It really is. Because they really were starting to come together, and I just have to do you have a favorite memory from this season for JuJu? Because, honestly, I love this team. I really love this team.
I think
I picked them to win it all, but also they're just a team that I really enjoyed watching grow. Like, I really enjoyed watching JuJu all season grow.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. I think for me, I mean, it might be the obvious answer, but her going to Pauley Pavilion and beating UCLA and throwing the fours down, again, not that she doesn't play with emotion, but JuJu is a generally nonchalant player, especially for how good she is. Like, if I was doing the things that she was doing, I'd be acting a fool. But, like, to see her go and, like, have the energy in that, so the Cheryl Miller, like, dap up as she's running down the floor into throwing the fours down, like, in kind of quick succession, will be my takeaway from like, I think kind of the biggest growth almost in JuJu is, like, look, man, there's another level to this. Like, as good as she already is and everything, like, those UCLA games, we saw her take it to a different level that even she hadn't shown yet. So it's like the fact that there's still, like if JuJu was this player forever, which obviously it's not like I don't think she's going to get better, but, like, if JuJu was this player, that'd be enough. Like, this is already enough for JuJu to be what she is. But we saw that next tier actively before our eyes, and the way that she just dominated those games in completely different ways too, from game 1 to game 2. But ultimately, the Cheryl Miller dap up into the fours down is what is going to, like, last with me. Just because, look, man, that was some good, thorough, like, ethical hate between rivals, and that meant something to me, man. So that's what's going to stick with me from this one, amongst plenty of just insane on the court basketball plays that she made throughout the entire season.
Yeah, I think that was actually mine too. And I think just thinking about how even before the game, I remember being at USC practice and she was talking about how she wants these Trojans and Bruins rivalries to feel like football. Like, she wants it to be the biggest thing in the world. She wants, like, you know, the campus to be painted red. Like, and she also, this is what another thing that I think fans love about her. She cared just as much as they did. Like, she hated that team. Like, she treated them like a crosstown rival, as though she had been, like, bleeding cardinal and gold her whole life, you know? Like, that was just something that was so inherent to her, you know? Like, she just always got up for an incredible, for a big matchup, for a big game. And I think that's another thing that just kind of sucks about this too. Like, everything about this sucks, but, you know, like, I think the team, everybody, fans, everybody was so excited about just what she was going to do in the Sweet 16, what she was potentially going to do in an Elite 8 rematch against Paige Beckers. And it's also, like, there's another part of me that is you know, kind of trying to figure out a way to talk about this, because I think one of the things with JuJu is that because of the place that women's basketball is at, and because all of the hopes and the dreams that have been pinned on her to be, like, the next person, we have become very used to talking about JuJu in projections. We talk about her future. We talk about how is she going to be, like, the greatest WNBA player of all time. Like, I already see people having those conversations. And by the way, they're valid given how incredible she already is. And I think that's just something we do in sports. Potential makes us excited. It makes us think about sport, think about the future. But there's an extra layer of it with JuJu, just because of what she could mean to and what she has already meant to growing the women's game. And I think that, like, sometimes we get so lost in that. Like, we get so lost in that we forget that, you know, people are people. And this is somebody who is just going through something incredible and difficult right now. Like, one thing that my mind keeps going back to is, like, this Emma Bacalari. I really apologize if I am not pronouncing her name right, but she's a writer for Sports Illustrated, and she profiled JuJu a year ago. When she was a freshman, and she talked about how JuJu goes, and when she's having a hard time, or when, you know, she's had a rough game, or whatever it might be, she goes and plays basketball to process her emotions. And this is just one of the things that always breaks my heart about athlete injuries is, like, for the most part, this is how they process, right? Like, you go in, you shoot. Like, anybody who even plays, like, on any level, like, understands that. Like, you just go and shoot in an empty gym for, like, half an hour. Whatever you're worried about just feels smaller, right? And for them, it's tenfold. And now she's dealing with this on top of probably losing what is a huge coping mechanism for her at the same time. And it's just, like, man, it just breaks your heart. It just breaks your heart.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. And I think, like, it's kind of tough, like, to balance like I think some people like kind of we moved on maybe a little bit too quick at points in like just in general. I feel like in just the social media discourse, which I mean is always moving fast anyways, but like it can't be overstated how devastating this is for the individual, for JuJu Watkins the person, like and to your point, like I think that's a great point of like, I mean, this is, I mean, for especially for like college athletes, right? Like at this point in their life, like their sport has pretty much like been their life for, I mean, the majority of their life for most of these people, if you know, if not almost the entirety of it, and to see it kind of just get ripped away like that in a moment like this, like, I mean, it seems like she has a strong support system around her, and it's like I'm very hopeful on that end. But yeah, I mean, it's just brutal, and I hope like the conversation around like the tournament as a whole doesn't just become now like, oh well, there's no JuJu, like, you know, and because there's still so much good left in this bracket, but I also think of it in the sense of like thinking about JuJu the person, like. She got this weight put on her once Caitlin Clark graduated. It's like, okay, Caitlin has the summer. Who's next? Over here, right? And I don't want JuJu to like. I don't know if it's like feel responsible like for like, you know, people being disappointed in the tournament or anything like that, because there's no feelings of that. And but like I've kind of seen the dialogue kind of start moving in that direction quickly, and like I don't want to like, because that's just not the case at all. And so like I hope that just in general, whether it be media or fans or, you know, whoever, like we can kind of take this, I don't know if take it slow or just not have that dialogue aspect of it or exactly what, but I just it sucks obviously for the sport, but like there's a person that has been given this responsibility at a very young age that is just going through a traumatic injury. So
yeah, I think that obviously the media abhors a vacuum, and we also love the deification of one individual. So the storyline that was percolating more, I think, at the start of the season of is JuJu going to take the torch from Caitlin? First of all, I just think that's an impossible ask. Like, it's not just about the basketball part of it. It's about what Caitlin meant. Like, you can't really replicate what the first person to do something like this did because she changed.
Because one was natural, world. I feel like Caitlyn, that naturally happened, and then and like JuJu was able to is building her own thing over here, but like you can't manufacture the same. It's never going to be the same, and that's not a knock on JuJu, because JuJu's thing could be great and different, and so I always like, I mean, obviously those conversations are always going to happen, but like it's I just.
The story of women's college basketball this year has been a collective one. Like I think collectively, a lot of players have taken the spotlight, and we have seen a rise, like as far as like ratings go in these games that you know, don't have anything to do with JuJu, like that you know, a Texas LSU, a Texas South Carolina, obviously the UConn USC game was the biggest, but you also have like these huge ratings in Notre Dame games and Hannah Hidalgo and Olivia Miles and stuff. So I don't think that it is all on her, and if anything, like on some level, you kind of hope that, and I don't know, like maybe not, maybe she wants this, maybe she is somebody who, you know, I've never once looked at JuJu and thought like, oh, she's struggling with the pressure. It just
she's never backed away from the responsibility by any means.
Yeah, she embraces the responsibility of it totally, but I do hope that sometimes there's a respite for anybody. Like if anybody that ever feels overburdened or like responsible for a lot of different things, when you step away from it and you realize that like the world is okay and it's right where you left it, like that can be really freeing. And and maybe that's kind of what happens from here on out, because look, it's a good tournament.
Yeah.